Okay.
So all of what you just said makes complete sense. Masks, teleworking. We have also, though, seen schools announce schedule changes for the fall, including some schedule changes that seem kind of strange. Can you explain what those are and what is the thinking behind them?
University of Notre Dame and some other schools have announced they'll be starting the fall semester earlier and ending by
Lagging a little bit.
essentially trying to sneak in a semester before a potential second
Why is that happening?
fall. They also plan to eliminate the fall break. That's when lots of students travel, and so they're trying to cut down on that. That was a
Oh yeah, I put windows in. Nice.
We've seen colleges announce basically every option, online, in person, a mixed bag.
Alright,
What we
so
haven't
let's
seen
see.
is
I need
an
to
outbreak, and we do know
light
that that's possible.
some more of this area
Right
for
back, we've got
nighttime.
faculty members and staff who are in an at-risk age group.
Yeah, just
Colleges are really
gonna
worried
fill
about
the rest of this
liability.
in
What happens if
stone.
an outbreak happens on
So
campus?
It sounds like you're saying there will be enormous hurdles before students can get back to campus in the fall. What has to happen?
That's right. Well, there's got to be contact tracing, social distancing, and of course, it's important testing on campus if you're going to be there in the fall.
Look at that.
That means that colleges have got to start thinking about tests. Where do they get them?
Cool.
How do they do it? What does it look like?
Could colleges conduct the test themselves and they
I
can
just
a nurse on campus or just
What
get
am I
it done?
doing?
Yeah, so some schools are going to operate in-house. The University of California, San Diego actually started a pilot program on campus where they're testing current students. The idea is this mass testing
Looks like
project
there's wheat
is going
ready to
to
harvest as well.
in the fall. Dr. Robert Schooley is a virologist at UC San Diego. He's running the program. He says so far they have not found a positive case. That's great, but that's not the point.
We're not trying to test to see if we can detect an outbreak right now. We're trying to make sure that we can scale to be able to do that in the fall.
The university says it'll cost about $2 million a month to carry out this program. This is coming at a time when colleges and universities are strapped for money, so it'll be a really hard financial decision. For smaller schools, it's going to be even more challenging. They'll need to work with local and state health officials to figure out what opportunities they have for testing in the fall.
NPR's Alyssa Nadworny covers higher education. Alyssa, thanks for this reporting.
Thanks, Noelle.
Oh yeah, I should harvest this.
Most legal proceedings at Guantanamo Bay
Yeah, with at least 2 cases of COVID-19 diagnosed there, all hearings are canceled until July. Court-related travel to the island, of course, Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, has essentially stopped. In 18 years of operation, more than 18 years, military court and prison have cost more than $6 billion and secured only a single finalized conviction. So is this an opportunity for change?
Sasha Pfeiffer with our investigations team has been reporting on this. She's been asking that question to various people. Sasha, good morning.
Good morning.
Remind us first, who is still being held at Guantanamo Bay?
There are now 40 prisoners there. That's down from almost 800 over the years. These are people rounded up after the September 11th, 2001 terror attacks, and the ones remaining include alleged 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
Okay, and these 40 inmates, their cases were supposed to be tried when?
The 9/11 trial is scheduled to begin next January. Now, that always seemed too optimistic given how slow the legal process is there. But now it seems impossible. I spoke with Bobby Chesney, a law professor at the University of Texas at Austin.
Cut down some more trees here.
He thinks that is just not going to happen.
We
I
certainly
know.
know this, that as long as COVID-19 is raging and these detainees are located in Guantanamo, there are going to be basic practical difficulties in a single thing done.
And Noel, it's not just the pandemic that's brought things to a virtual standstill. Guantanamo has always
I guess that zombie's underground.
dysfunction on steroids. The
Scared
9/11
me
judge
for a second.
quit last month after less than a year on the job. Head of the military
Oh, wow.
court was replaced last month, also after less than a year on the job. And 2 of the lead attorneys from the 9/11 defendants stepped aside recently.
Yeah, that does sound messy. And that messiness is giving critics an opening here, right?
There's a tree here.
Yeah,
Seems
they
like a
think
terrible
this is an
idea.
opportunity to do something radically different. Georgetown Law School professor Abby Smith went to Guantanamo in January to watch some hearings, and she later wrote a piece for the National Law Journal titled, "It's Time to Rethink Guantanamo Bay Military Commissions." She says we either need to try these men or release them.
It's unbelievable what we're paying to maintain this system that hasn't accomplished anything. I mean, especially post-COVID. Imagine
The
what we can do with
zombies
that money.
here.
That's U.S. taxpayer money, by the way, and as
But
you
it
said
does
earlier,
really sound good.
in 2002.
Yeah, maybe
I
like
know
right
that you've
through
also
this
been
wall.
talking to
I don't
family
know.
members of people who died on 9/11 about what they think. What are they telling you?
Oh,
One of the
yeah.
people I called was Colin Kelly.
There's a
His
cabin.
brother died in the World Trade Center attacks.
It's a zombie.
More than a dozen trips to Guantanamo to Guantanamo. My basic thought
Come on back
is
up.
this is kind of the perfect time to change everything about Guantanamo.
He thinks the Guantanamo
One
cases
more?
should stay tried in U.S. prisons because of lots of experience with terrorism cases, or that the prisoners could plead guilty in exchange.
Okay, interesting.
I like that she's a civilian with a solution. How realistic is her solution?
Well, the U.S. Defense Department says it plans to stay the course. It told me the military is trained to do rotation, so we'll continue to rotate personnel in and out of Guantanamo.
Oh, okay.
And it said the Guantanamo cases have no fixed
That's
timeline.
some good protection from, like, this creeper, maybe.
And at this point,
See how close
because
you can
there are
get.
at least 2 cases in Guantanamo, do you know
Bye.
anything else about the health of either the inmates or the people running them?
Reporters have not been able to visit the prison in a long time.
Cool.
They are certainly aging, having been tortured. Some of them have some health issues, but we haven't seen them in person, except in the courtroom, for a while.
Okay.
Sasha Pfeiffer
Guess I'll
of
mine some
NPR's
coal.
investigations team with the latest on Guantanamo Bay. Sasha,
Feels like
thanks
I
so
need
much.
to sort of fortify the entrance to this.
That's up first for Friday, May 26th.
The cavern I was just in that led to this one.
Program is produced by Lily Quiroz.
That
Our
connects
editors
to
are
my
Dalia Montana and
mine.
Steve Wallace. Our technical director is Stu Rushfield. Our executive producer is Kelly. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you have a moment, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts.
At least that
And
feels
remember, up
fancy.
first
But yeah,
is on
this.
Saturday to Luke Garcia Navarro and Scott Simon.
And I guess I could like glass this
Or you
in.
can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
I don't know. Or just cover it, maybe. Put a torch in
Support
here.
for this podcast and the following message come from the
I don't know.
NPR Coffee Club.
Looks
Enjoy
like the sun's
delicious
going
coffee,
down,
freshly
so.
roasted and sustainably sourced, delivered straight to your home. Join today
Oh
and
my
support
goodness, sheep.
NPR
Every
program.
time.
Visit nprcoffeeclub.org.
Looking for a break from the never-ending news cycle? Searching for fresh,
Yeah.
new content that makes you stop and say, that's how they did that? Then look no further than Teamistry, the new original podcast from Atlassian. Hosted by filmmaker and documentarian Gabriella Cowperthwaite, Teamistry looks past the front page headlines and into the untold stories of teams behind some of history's most groundbreaking moments. Download Teamistry for free at Atlassian.com/Teamistry or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Better.
This is Scientific American's 60-Second Science.
Less likely to have things just spawn
More
around
than
me.
200 million people get malaria each year, and about 500,000 die, mostly in Africa, many of them children. And those staggering
Look at that
numbers are
mushroom.
an improvement.
It's awesome.
Malaria deaths have been cut in half since
Alright.
2000.
Let's
In many
get
places,
some
a remarkably simple
food.
tool has led the fight. Bed nets, treated with a mild insecticide that stop mosquitoes from biting people in their sleep. Both people and mosquitoes are pawns in the malaria transmission system. If an infected person gets bitten by a mosquito, the parasite gets picked up along with the blood meal. That mosquito can then transfer the parasite to the next person who bites.
Nope.
Bed nets
That's
help
fine.
stop mosquitoes from easy attacks on motionless sleepers.
That's fine
But
too.
now, some mosquitoes seem to be giving up the night shift.
Malaria mosquitoes in Africa tend to shift their biting behavior.
Entomologist Udo Suh from Penn State
Maybe another
University's
torch
Center
over
for
here
Infectious
too.
Disease Dynamics.
Do that.
Normally they tend to bite
Right outside
people
my
during the night, but because of
my base. Feels like that should be a safe place.
mosquitoes started biting in the evening or the morning.
The assumption is that the bed nets are weeding out the nighttime biters while not affecting the mosquitoes that prefer feeding at other times. So those mosquitoes are thriving. Suh and his team wanted to know whether the observed change in biting time had any impact on malaria.
I wonder if
Back in the lab,
I wonder what
they
the
presented Anopheles mosquitoes
life
with the
cycle
opportunity
time for a
to feed on
mosquito
blood
is
at 6 p.m., at midnight, and at 6 a.m.
like
The
adaptation
laboratory was
or
kept at an even
sort of
80
natural
degrees
selection has
Fahrenheit.
happened so
Evening and
quickly.
morning biters were no more or less likely to become infectious than the midnight biters. But in the real world of the warm and humid tropics, nighttime is slightly cooler than the daytime. And when the researchers introduced that temperature variation, the evening
make more
biters were a
torches
lot
soon.
more likely to have potent malaria parasites. The results are in the journal
Oh, it's not
Nature,
pretty.
Ecology, and Evolution.
Not all mosquito bites are equal. Mosquitoes bite easily and have
to do with the way that the malaria parasite matures. Parasites have a tougher time developing when mosquitoes are too warm. But if a mosquito picks up the parasites from blood around dusk, those parasites have more hours of cooler nighttime temps to complete their development. Next, So wants to conduct a similar study of wild mosquitoes and wild malaria parasites in Africa to see if the results from his lab mosquitoes hold up.
Alright, we got
Either
food.
way, bednets will remain an important tool, but understanding the enemy's behavior
Stone,
is
diary,
always
stone
crucial
bricks.
information in any battle. Thanks for listening to Scientific American's 60-Second Science. I'm Jason Goldman.
Oh, I did have some more glass. That's good.
Support for this podcast
Where
and
is
the
it
following
putting-
message come from
Can I move
Boston.
that?
Understanding what your wealth is really for. Providing
Oh,
wealth
it's here.
management, trust,
blind.
and banking services to help meet your unique personal and business needs.
Alrighty.
See their client stories at thewhyofwealth.com. Live from NPR News, I'm Corva
Few more
Coleman.
torches.
A Pakistan International
and-
Airlines flight has crashed near the southern port city of Karachi. Media report the plane was flying from Lahore, Pakistan's second largest city. There's no immediate word on casualties, but there were around 100 people on the flight.
Turned on subtitles recently.
The crash came only days after
interesting
domestic flights were allowed to resume in
to see what
Pakistan,
things
and
are called.
shared on social media showed black smoke pluming near a highway just after the plane went down. Local media reported that a fire caused by the crash set nearby homes ablaze, and the wail of ambulances could be heard in the background of footage. A local minister declared an emergency in all major hospitals around Karachi in anticipation of mass casualties. The plane belonged to Pakistan International Airlines. Their last major crash was in 2016 when a plane skidded off a runway, killing all 48 people on board. Dear Hadid, NPR News, Islamabad. The nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says if there are no setbacks, it is possible that a COVID-19 vaccine could be introduced by the end of this year or by January 2021.
Wow.
But speaking on NPR's Morning Edition,
It's
Fauci
faster
cautioned
than,
that estimate is optimistic.
Yeah, optimistic is right. That is definitely faster than
highly effective. If you wouldn't want to deploy a vaccine that's not effective surgically, not one that's not safe.
Let's see.
So the projection, the timeline, I think, is reasonable.
This is a corner.
That with some caution.
Here, I'm lined up. Here, I'm lined up. This is a corner.
Continues to emphasize the need for social distancing.
I need to go this way.
Georgia authorities have arrested a third man in the February shooting death of a black jogger in Georgia. William Roddy Bryan filmed a video of the incident and set off protests surrounding his family. Georgia public broadcaster Alex Jones.
Another crazy story.
Bryan's video of the shooting, which became public earlier this month, showed unarmed joggers from residents' neighborhood fighting content. Arbery was shot in the struggle. Authorities arrested the alleged assailants 2 days after the video came out, but protesters and lawyers for Arbery's family have been calling for Bryan's arrest as well. He's mentioned in the police report as attempting to intercept Arbery as he jogged. Bryan and his lawyer have maintained that he was not involved in the incident. He's charged with murder and attempted false imprisonment. For NPR News, I'm Emily Jones in Savannah. The FBI is taking the lead on investigating yesterday's shooting at the Naval Air Station in Corpus Christi, Texas. A man drove up to an entrance and started shooting. The guards returned fire, and the Navy says one sailor was shot and wounded. She is recovering. The suspect was killed. Officials say they have a potential second person of interest who is at large in the community. This is NPR. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says Congress might pass another coronavirus relief package, but he warns it would not be like the $3 trillion legislative package that was passed by the House a week ago. Republicans oppose extending higher unemployment benefits to Americans through the end of the year. They say this has discouraged some people from returning to work. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is continuing to campaign. He appeared as a guest on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert Thursday night. NPR's Jen Newman reports Biden spoke about the pandemic.
Attacking a skeleton?
Biden says if elected, he'll depoliticize the government's coronavirus response.
Look, this isn't a partisan issue. I know it sounds...
Did the wolf fall down?
I wasn't trying to say it. There's nothing partisan about this.
Turning to his selection of a vice president.
I've never seen that.
Biden insisted he hasn't officially vetted anyone, but said he is looking for a woman who feels completely comfortable agreeing with him.
There's been a team
Can't
put
reach you.
together to go down a preliminary list of people who ask general questions. Are they interested in why were they interested or not interested in the job, etc.
Biden says that preliminary interview process is now wrapping up. Jen Newman, NPR News. Officials in India and Bangladesh say this week's powerful cyclone
Clearly I
has
need to like
killed
this a little bit
19
better.
people.
That's my
The storm
turn.
is dissipating and
Yep.
cyclone cleanup is underway.
Where did the...
The cyclone struck one of
Hey, buddy.
India's largest cities, Kolkata, home to
Yeah.
about 15 million
Alex,
people. There's been a lot of damage and millions of people lost power. The
Yeah, buddy.
airport is underwater. This is NPR.
Wow, I need more. You do not like red meat.
Well, I suppose you want to know where I was when this disaster took place. I was driving on my way home, and I began to feel that the car was a lemon because the wheels appeared to be running off the car. I managed to stop the car, and I looked in stupefaction at the road about 10 feet ahead of me and saw the road break open.
Whoa,
Then,
what are we
like
listening to
two
now?
big halves of a huge sandwich start moving like scissors back and forth. One half moving in one direction, the other half moving in the other direction.
Bunch of sheep
And all the
die.
time while watching the
What is
road,
going on?
suddenly dawned on me it was not an ordinary disaster, that it was perhaps one of the greatest disasters to hit North America. I kept thinking, what will Alaskans do now? What will Alaskans do now?
There are moments when the world we take for granted instantaneously changes. When reality is abruptly upended and the unimaginable overwhelms real life. We don't walk around thinking about that,
There you go, doggy.
but we know it's always there. At random, without warning, a kind of terrible
Here you
magic
go.
can switch on and scramble our lives. You may know the feeling. In 1964, it happened to Anchorage, Alaska, to a woman named Jeannie Chance.
As I went to Anchorage once for the World Bearded Mustache Championships. Alaska seems really cool. I'd like to get out into more of its wilderness. I didn't know about this earthquake, weirdly. I say weirdly because it was the biggest earthquake in American history. Something I could have learned about at some point.
Sunday, February 23rd, 1964, a month before the earthquake. Just before 1 p.m.
Spoken?
The deciding heat of the World Championship sled dog races was about to start.
They have estimated the crowd as high as 12,000 feet.
All Anchorage, it seemed, gathered downtown to watch.
This is the one time of the year, the only time of the year, you ever get that many people into last spot.
What was funny about being in Anchorage, like,
The community that didn't have a
I guess we were there for this beard competition, but
the fledgling city to look forward to in the cold.
so everybody you saw with a beard you'd say hi to, but only half of them were there for the competition. The other half just lived there, had beards, because it's Alaska. I gotta skip over the fence for this.
With a blotch of Western
I
civilization
get distracted,
in the middle of emptiness. Alaska had only
like you
become
do.
the country's 49th state 5 years earlier. It was often disregarded
as a kind of free-floating addendum to the rest of America. But Anchorage was Alaska's biggest and proudest city. The community
I never remember how to do this. This is the gate.
reached
That's the
aggressively
gate.
and
So
greedily
then,
to grasp the future, impatient with any suggestions that such things take time.
that's oops.
It was a modern-day frontier town that imagined it was a metropolis, straining to make itself real.
Here's the countdown.
There's pretty stone, it's fine.
A local radio station, KENI, was covering the races.
It was a little scary.
Through the broadcast to a part-time reporter named Jeannie Chan. We'd just gotten set up at a radio checkpoint at the top of Cordova Hill.
Can I put fence in there?
Right
Oh, I
as the
can.
sled dashed by.
Huh.
Jeannie was relieved she'd made it in time. She was the only woman covering the event for KENI, and her bosses had given her a tough assignment. She'd started the day at a spot at the beginning of the course, but once she'd broadcast her play-by-play there, she had to scramble along a few miles of icy roads to this checkpoint, further along the route. Before the dogs plowed by her again. But she'd made it, because professionally, Jeannie Chan was relentless. She had to be. Jeannie was said to be the first female newscaster in Alaska. 37 years old, she was strikingly beautiful, with short, wavy blonde hair and high-cut bangs. She grew up in a small town in Texas, where she met her husband Winston and had 3 kids. There, Winston sold used cars, but he wasn't particularly good at it. Even when he did manage to land a
2,
commission,
3,
he
4,
had a habit
5,
of blowing
6.
it on a steak dinner and drinks before he got home. The financial strain started to destabilize their marriage, and the pressure fell on Jeannie to hold the family together
Use them
and
all.
make their precarious life feel safe. We're not poor, we tell our children. We just don't have any money. At the time, a wave of young Texans was decamping for jobs in Alaska, and Winston was convinced it was a land of opportunity where anyone willing to work would wind up flush. But Jeannie hesitated. Alaska didn't sound like a fun adventure to her. It sounded desolate and dreadful, like moving to the moon. Then again, if life didn't improve for her and Winston in Anchorage, maybe divorce might feel a little more feasible there. She'd be at the edge of the world. Nobody would have to know.
Oh, that doesn't look great, but it's not terrible. Alright.
But Alaska didn't solve Winston's troubles with money, and before long, the Chance family was unable to pay the rent.
Let's do some water bucketing.
Sell some cars soon. Jeannie worried. And this is what a good wife was supposed to do, she wrote. Just wait at home for her man to bring money in to pay the bills and feed the family. Other wives do it all the time. Why can't I learn to relax?
I lose my shears.
Let it happen?
No, I need new ones.
She
Okay.
went to him weeping one day, she said. And he told her, well, if you're so worried about paying the rent, why are you sitting on your fat savings? Get out there and get a job.
Damn.
Jeannie was speechless. 2 weeks later, she got herself hired at KENI.
Okay.
At the time, women broadcasters typically covered fashion and homemaking or hosted on-air recipe swaps. But in her year and a half at the station, Jeannie had forged a role for herself as an industrious roving reporter. She covered crime in the court, City Hall.
2,
She
3,
reported from
4.
crab boats,
2,
missile
3,
sites,
4.
burning buildings in Inuit villages.
That's right.
And
Should not go around.
during the final stretch of the race, Jeannie lost herself in the excitement a little. And just started shouting, oh, yes, into her microphone as the moment passed. Another slide off the track about her breathlessness on the air. Jeannie tried to be gracious and stoic, to do what was expected of her without complaining. She figured this was the only way to diffuse the discomfort of the men around her. At the end of the sled dog races that afternoon, she'd sign off by thanking not only all the KE&I listeners and spectators,
Might end up extending
but
the
all co-workers too.
farm.
And she was also sure to thank her husband. For his permission.
Oh man. Tells you something about the time. For his permission. And I should like fence this off
The
maybe.
future falls open without a warning. The earthquake, when it came, would knock people's lives off kilter so brutally and abruptly that its power seemed to reverberate forever.
Alright.
Some people, like Jeannie, would find their lives oriented differently in its aftermath. Others would find their entire worldview had changed. More than half a century later, an attorney in Anchorage would explain, "Even now I can look at this solid ground out my window and know it's not permanent. It can change any time. It just moved. Everything moved." Anyway, this is who Jeannie was, and where everything stood, before what it stood on moved.
Alrighty. Getting dark.
Friday, March
But
27, 1964.
that's why I lit everything, right?
On the night of Good Friday, 1964, I was writing a letter to a friend in Toronto.
Around 5:30, Jeannie Chance sat at the typewriter in her bedroom, stealing some time alone before fixing dinner for her husband Winston and their 3 children. 8-year-old Jan, 11-year-old Albert, and 13-year-old Winston Jr., or Win.
You're on Spider?
Appeared at the bedroom door.
My son Win came to me and said that
Oh, alright. Got some string. Nice.
Forgot to buy a copy of the Red Cross life-saving manual he was supposed to bring to his swimming class the next morning.
And I said, please, for heaven's sakes, when you have to have something, don't wait till the last minute.
So Jeannie pulled on a pair of boots and a parka and headed out.
So Wins and I got in the car, and I was still in somewhat of a unhappy mood about having to make a last-minute errand downtown.
At 5:36, snow was falling as Jeannie and Winston headed downtown. The city was quiet. As they approached the intersection of B Street and 9th, the traffic light turned red.
As I touched my brake, the car began to bounce.
The car started bucking.
And I said, oh, no, what's the matter? And I said, oh, well.
Jeannie said she'd blown a tire.
And it got worse.
She gripped the wheel. Wins held on to his seat beside her. For a moment, they bounced violently, without speaking.
Scary.
Nothing was said between us for a few minutes. And I said, you know, it's not a blowout. It must be a hard wind. And boy, it's that wind, all right. But the car bounced worse and worse. And I lowered my window
Off
and I
this.
heard
Yep, there we go.
banging. This crying banging. And put the
Bring my
car
crafting table over here.
The cars parked in a line were slamming into one another, separating again, like a grotesque accordion, opening and closing.
I saw down the street to my left, people holding on to each other, trying to stand up.
The world and everything in it appeared to be convulsing. Jeannie's eyes were seeing it, but her mind mind couldn't organize all this information into a coherent story.
The car continued to stomp.
Suddenly, she watched the road roll away from the car.
A big crack and roll.
Wow.
As though some humpbacked shadow creature were surging under its surface, heading for town. Finally, Jeannie found the words that could fasten together this
One
chaos.
of those waves. P wave, S wave. Oh boy. Skeleton.
Once in a while they say, yeah.
It overwhelmed people the way the strongest emotions do. It was pure sensation, coming on faster than intellectual. It was amazing what details people noticed. The focal points their minds locked onto when the world went blurry.
I hope they show the arrows in you. It's brilliant.
4th Avenue, a high school track star watched the window of a stationery store rattle and explode, and he stood there, admiring the perfect, hurtling form of the man.
Good for what?
Presbyterian Hospital, and he stood there, admiring the perfect, hurtling form of the man who came leaping out of it. At Presbyterian Hospital, one man watched blood seeping into the hall from under a doorway, like a scene in a horror movie.
Yeah, that's
It
terrifying.
took a second for him to realize that the hospital's blood bank had broken open and spilled.
Okay. So yeah, sounds like The Shining or
At the
something.
JCPenney department store, a 15-year-old in the elevator with some friends watched a book that one of them had dropped suddenly levitate off the floor
Wow.
and hang weightless in midair right in front of them. For a split second, it was like they were in orbit. The elevator was falling. For a split second, it was like they were in orbit. The elevator was falling.
Oof. I assume they survived to tell that tale, but
But Jeannie's mind had already turned to reporting the news.
As soon as it stopped, I looked up and I could see that our television tower was still standing.
It seemed her station would have power back on soon, and that the 6 o'clock news broadcast would go on as usual. That meant she had less than 20 minutes to put together a story.
I knew we had no power by the fact that the traffic lights went out, but I knew that our very ingenious engineers would have us on the air very shortly.
So Jeannie stood in the public safety building, where the police and fire departments were headquartered, to round up some details for a quick report.
As I dashed in, I saw that all of their huge, heavy filing cabinets and desks were thrown face down on the floor. And my son, Wynn, came running in the door, and he yelled, "Come quick, Penny's is falling."
Standing in the doorway of the public safety building, they could see the brand new JCPenney department store. The building was a point of pride in Anchorage. Penny's was one of the first major chain retailers to believe in Alaska enough to build in the state.
But as I stood there and watched,
Now, as Jeannie and Wynn watched through the flurrying snow,
the big slabs
I'm gonna
of
go
concrete
sleep.
walls silently break loose and start toward the ground.
a tremendous concrete panel from the exterior started to swing away from the building, as though on a hinge.
And it filled the street with a roar, the deafening roar.
With the facade peeled off, parts of the store were now open to the cold air, exposed like the rooms of a dollhouse.
And Wynn looked at me and I saw horror in his eyes.
All at once, she registered the extent of the wreckage surrounding her. A voice said something about people buried in the rubble. A group of men came running down the street, yelling, "4th Avenue is gone." And behind them, Jeannie could see the roof of a familiar building resting on the street, jabbed into the pavement at an incomprehensible angle.
Then was the first time that I thought the first thing I must do before I can go any further is get my family together and make sure everything is all right. I wheeled out of there and headed home. everything else off, thank God.
As she pulled up, Jan and Albert shot out of the neighbor's house across the street. Winds leapt out of the car and ran to his sister and brother.
I said, Penny's has fallen down, and there's more damage downtown. And Alf then pulled off from me, and he looked at me very soberly, and he said, I'm all right. Don't worry about me. Go on and do your job.
All three Chance children began to understand, without being told, that their mother would be leaving again. Jeannie was proud of how self-sufficient her kids had become, but whatever pride she felt was undercut by guilt. She knew her family was growing independent of her out of necessity, because she wasn't around as much as other mothers and wives were. Down in the lower 48, the women's movement was underway, but Anchorage was 1,500 miles away from the rest of America. The feminism wasn't a word Jeannie used. Her struggle to balance work and family felt like a problem unique to her, and isolated moments could trigger self-doubt. At breakfast one morning, a few weeks earlier, the family was watching through the kitchen window as their neighbor scraped the ice off her husband's Cadillac before he left for work. This was the custom among many Anchorage wives, but in the Chance home, the roles were reversed. Winston warmed up the car for Jeannie. Now Winston asked her, Honey, if I get you a Cadillac like that, would you scrape the ice off and warm it up yourself? There must have been a tinge of disgruntlement in his voice, because before Jeannie could answer, 8-year-old Jan interrupted to remind her father that he was actually very lucky. It's not everyone who gets to warm up the car for Jeannie Chance. It was funny, but uncomfortable. And in hindsight, it might feel ominous too, since after the earthquake, the more successful Jeannie became, the more Winston seethed. It was nearly 6 o'clock, about 20 minutes since the quake, the last half hour of daylight.
So I headed immediately back down to the downtown area, still thoroughly confident we would be on the air in a very short time, and I would have to have something to say.
As Jeannie headed back downtown, she kept her transistor radio tuned to KENI, hoping the station would be back on air in time for the hourly newscast. So far, nothing. Only static.
Went on down toward Penny's on the...
Within minutes, she was back at JCPenney.
Got the car parked.
She parked and approached the store, but stopped short in front of a slab of something in the snow. She stared at it, mesmerized and repulsed, but couldn't place what it was. She remembered as a girl in Texas watching her father kill off his few remaining hogs after a snowstorm, and hang their fleshless hindquarters from the rafters of the barn. This thing in the snow reminded Jeannie of that somehow. Finally, a man shouted an explanation to her. It was half a woman, he said.
Ugh. I'm just kind of sorry we're listening to this, guys.
By the falling debris. Jeannie moved on quickly.
I went on over to 4th Avenue to survey the damage there so that I could make a report. And I was horrified to discover that 2 whole blocks had simply fallen into a crack that had opened up, and there was no street under them.
For 2 whole blocks, everything was wedged in a ragged chasm that had ripped open under the street.
4th Avenue has just collapsed. It's just collapsed.
Soon, an aftershock struck. The windows of a bank started popping, spraying glass across the sidewalk ahead of Jeannie as she headed back to her car. Her transistor radio, still tuned to KENI, continued to broadcast static. It was snowing hard. The sun was setting. The city going dark.
No telling how many people left at home without heat, without power, without telephones.
Jeannie knew that the citizens of Anchorage were scattered around, cut off from each other. The electrical grid was down. Most phone lines were dead. There'd be no way to know exactly what had happened, or how thoroughly their world had been jumbled.
I realized that if there's any way I can be of service, I've got to do it. weird strains of music coming over our KBNI station. And I knew that our auxiliary unit had gotten on the air. We were on the air some way.
Because of the disaster we have just experienced and the emergency condition which now exists.
When an announcer finally broke through,
I called in.
Jeannie called the station from the portable radio unit in her car, explaining that she was ready to make a report about the situation downtown.
It has become obvious that the earthquake that struck Anchorage less than an hour ago was a major one. A great deal of damage.
She spoke fast, taking sharp, quick breaths.
The J.G. Penney building had 2 walls collapse. However, it is believed at this time that everyone who was inside the building managed to escape safely. There is a 2-block portion on 4th Avenue where the buildings just sunk into the ground.
She was astonished later when people told her she sounded calm.
Katie and I will keep you informed throughout the night. So stay tuned to your radios. Check on your neighbors, see if they have transistor radios. If they don't, possibly they could move in with you and share one for tonight. It seems like it's going to be a long, cold night for Anchorage, so prepare to batten down the hatches and stay tuned to Katie and I.
Wow. My dad was a
She
reporter
drove back to the
for...
public safety building where city officials were gathering. She told the fire chief and police chief that
A lot
KEI
of
was on
years.
the air
30,
again.
40?
She had her mobile unit ready to go live.
Newspaper, not radio,
Free
but...
to use her rig to broadcast announcements. Without much thought, the police chief immediately offloaded that job on Jeannie. She was going to be the one talking to Anchorage.
Yes, Jeannie James inside Civil Defense
I wonder if he's listening to this, or listening to it this morning.
She started reeling off the information she'd collected, taking uncertain stock of Anchorage's wound.
There is apparently a great deal of damage just west of L Street, there at 9th Avenue.
Okay, I thought that was Diamond for
We
a
have
second
received
still.
word from the state police
In my multiplayer game, I have yet to find any lapis, so
the 2 dogs
it's exciting.
owned by the oil companies down there at Seward are currently on fire.
Doesn't look even.
She listed the locations of public shelters opening up for the displays, and started directing equipment and personnel around the city.
Anybody who has a spare chlorinator, they are in dire need of a chlorinator there at Providence Hospital. All electricians and plumbers, please go to building 700. All line personnel report to work as soon as possible. Well, we're ready to go again. The plug got kicked here and we ran out of power. I thought maybe it was one of those little tremors. I don't know if you're sitting up there in the studio. To contact Chuck Drummond. Chuck Drummond. He is needed urgently to install the chlorinator at Providence Hospital. Needs 6 cases of 6-inch plaster of Paris. This is a message for Mr. Grace. If he can manage to get that.
How do they know the specific people who need to, like, bring supplies or
Put out a call for diesel fuel.
install things?
A public health official stood over her shoulder while she repeated his instructions for purifying snow for drinking
And 1 teaspoon of household bleach to every 5 gallons of water. Be sure not to just melt it, but boil it also. Right now, that is the
Jeannie understood that everyone would be trapped
so let's
together for the
finish
foreseeable
this.
future. In the snow, in the dark,
Jumping path.
no
Oh,
electricity,
jumping path.
and below freezing temperatures. Under those circumstances, she wrote later, mass hysteria would have meant total destruction.
The chlorinator, we're happy to report, has been installed at Providence Hospital. Chuck Drummond did arrive.
Essentially, she was doing her job. She was talking to Anchorage on the radio. As one man put it, Jeannie Chance was telling everyone, you're not alone.
KENI Radio will fit in where we are needed and do our best to carry on 24 hours a day. We have another message to Mr. Lowe.
And that's how the first hours unfolded. Something else was happening that Friday night too. The thread of this story that, as time passed, come to feel almost like bullshit.
Mr. and Mrs. R.W. Fisher have lost their children. They can't find them. Mr. and Mrs. Fisher are at the home of Charles Ball.
At the public safety building, ordinary people who were separated from their children or other family members started stumbling up to Jeannie's counter and asking her for help. They were converging on Jeannie, desperate to know if somebody they loved was safe, find one another, shout across their fractured city in the dark.
Bill Noble would like to get a message, if at all possible, as to their whereabouts and if they are all right. Meryl Sleeker, who lives on 86th Avenue, please come home. Mr. and Mrs. Dick Fisher are still here at the police headquarters at 6th and C, waiting for any word of their children. Their home went off the bluff. They're out there in the Turnigan area where we understand a great deal of damage took place.
Could amplify their voices with her own. And then, as the night went on,
A message to Kenneth Sadler. Mrs. Sadler is fine. Kenneth Sadler is out in the bush and listens on a transistor radio. Mrs. Sadler is fine. A message to Walter Hart at Kenai. Lee Hart is fine. We have another message that Bob DeLoach is all right. Jim Murphy and Bill Somerville at Point Hope. Your families are A-OK. Frank Smith at Beluga. Your family is safe and at the home of Red Dodge. I also have received a report from a person who is monitoring stations from our 48 states.
all the people, one after another, calling in to report they were okay. You could hear the potential death toll in the city gradually ticking down. And with each small declaration of survival that aired, you could imagine a constellation of affirming flames slowly lighting the emptiness outside. Finally,
I've been so involved trying to assist down here in the coordination of
it was Jeannie's turn.
that I really hadn't stopped to think how worried and concerned my parents must be. So if my friends in Fairbanks would take down a message for me and get the word to my family in Bonham, Texas, that the Champs family is all right, place a collect call to Judge A.S. Broadfoot, B-R-O-A-D-F-O-O-T, at Bonham, Texas, and tell him that the Champs family is all right. I would appreciate this if the message can get to Texas, for I know that my family is
It was still dark early on Saturday morning when the telephone rang at the home of Judge and Mrs. A.S. Broadfoot in Bonham, Texas. The caller explained that he'd just received a phone call from his son, who lived in Fairbanks. There'd been a terrible earthquake in Alaska, his son told him. But believe it or not, he was listening to the Broadfoot's daughter, Jeannie Chance, covering the disaster on the radio right now. He just heard her ask for someone to phone her parents in Texas and tell them the Chance family is all right. The phone rang again. This time, it was a perfect stranger, the military officer in Fairbanks, calling collect, just like Jeannie had instructed on the air. He was passing on the same message. The Chance family is all right. From then on, the phone rang constantly, Jeannie's mother wrote. I just let down and bawled, in a boo-hoo of all time. Back in Anchorage, 13 hours after the quake hit, Jeannie was still on the air. She'd been working straight through the night. And as the city went to sleep in the early hours of the morning, despite their power being out and their phone lines down, they'd been connected to one another once again.
This podcast is supported by Doubleday, publishers of Camino Wins by John
Incredible story, but you don't need to go blow it up like that. Zombie converted to ground?
Storyteller brings sun, sand, and a bit of mystery right to your door. Julia Owens, author of Where the Crawdads Sing, says Camino Wins is a wild but smart keeper. Camino Wins is available wherever you buy books.
Saturday, March 20th. late Alaska earthquake filtered into the outside world, word reached a small team of sociologists at the Disaster Research Center at Ohio State University. It was a brand new institute funded by the Department of Defense to send social scientists as quickly as possible to wherever a disaster struck. The Cold War was escalating, and the military was desperate to prepare America for the possibility of nuclear war. One of its presiding assumptions was that a bomb dropped on the United States wouldn't just cause physical destruction, but pandemonium, lawlessness, and violence among the survivors, too. The government needed to get a handle on how to manage that chaos, and they locked on to natural disasters as realistic proxies. Each community hit by an earthquake, hurricane, or flood would be like a laboratory, a full-scale simulation in which a team of sociologists could scrutinize that breakdown of society in advance. Now, the sociologists in Ohio were hearing rumors that downtown Anchorage had been swallowed in a ball of fire. The trauma and confusion would be horrific. Professionally speaking, it was too good to be true. They roused me out of bed, one of their grad students said. I threw on my duds, and I was off to the airport in an hour and a half. But when the disaster researchers started touching down,
And we'll be able to notify you where you will be able to go get sea rations to feed the women.
they couldn't find the chaos they'd come to document.
So we are making arrangements at this time for civil defense and the military to supply sea rations that can be carried to these public shelters. Stay tuned to KPNI and we will be able to help you where you can pick up.
The sociologists learned, for example, that when Presbyterian Hospital started filling with gas after the quake, Boy Scouts, who'd been distributing phone books in the neighborhood, helped walk all the hospital's patients down 3 or 4 flights of stairs. And an armada of taxis and other civilian drivers pulled up outside to evacuate everyone to a second hospital across town.
We are still having a number of people coming in and offering their services here in the public safety building. I believe everything is pretty well under control and surveys.
Outside the crumbling J.C. Penney building, bystanders rushed to dig people out and worked together to tow away a huge section of the fallen concrete facade, then extract a woman who'd been crushed beneath it in her station wagon.
It was very heartwarming, of course, to see the way these families did get back together because quite a few of them were separated.
Everywhere in Anchorage, clusters of ordinary people had gone straight to work, spontaneously, teaming up and switching on like a kind of civic immune response. They just started solving whatever problems they saw in front of them, and often surprised themselves by how capably they were getting the job done. Jeannie was one of those people.
All military and civilian personnel are giving a terrific effort right now on an evaluation search.
One man told the sociologists, everybody jumped right in. Everybody was trying to do a little bit of everything. For everybody. Since then, an entire field of sociology has documented the same phenomenon in disasters around the world. And eventually, 2 founders of the Disaster Research Center would theorize about why disasters seem to bring out the best in people. In ordinary life, they wrote, we suffer alone. Any struggle, any pain, winds up isolating us from other people, or even making us resentful of everybody else, who seem to somehow have it easier. But in a disaster, an entire community suffers together. Trauma and even death, the stuff that we suppress in daily life, spills out as a public phenomenon for everyone to see. The present becomes all-consuming. The past and the future fall away. And all those who share in the experience, the researchers wrote, are brought together in a very powerful psychological sense. And something else happens. When everything gets scrambled, our assumptions about each other and ourselves get scrambled too. As another sociologist put it, the instant disaster strikes, life becomes like molten metal. It enters a state of flux from which it must reset upon a principle, a creed, or a purpose. It is shaken, perhaps violently, out of rut and routine. be. There's an opportunity for transformation.
I mean, so suddenly we can see why the story is relevant to our current time.
3 o'clock on Saturday, but she was back 2 hours later, claiming to have taken a nap. Journalists were descending on Anchorage by then, and Jeannie spoke with one group from Europe and was taken aback when they instantly recognized her name. "Oh, yes," they told her. "We've heard you on the radio." Her voice had traveled around the world, spraying out of Anchorage on an array of convoluted paths.
All electricians and plumbers at Fort Ridge, go to building 700 immediately.
One originated at KENI's sister station in Fairbanks, which also relayed that signal to a radio station in Juneau.
Mrs. Sadler is fine. Kenneth Sadler is out in the...
Then a man in Juneau telephoned a radio station in Seattle and seemed to simply hold his phone up to the radio and let the broadcast play. The announcer in Seattle threw that call onto his own airwaves. The sound relayed and relayed and relayed again. Spin, and spin. There was Jeannie, unmistakably, churning through personal messages from Alaskans separated from their loved ones.
Redstone up there. Cool.
She later wrote to an editor in London, "Just a little old housewife and mother helping out with the family finances, being heard around the world? How crazy can this world be?" Without realizing it, Jeannie had become famous. The next week, as Alaska's legislature began putting together a plan to rebuild the state, the Speaker of the House called a session to order by recognizing Jeannie. She got a standing ovation. The following year, as Anchorage's neighborhoods and businesses came back to life,
McCall's magazine, as you probably know, presents Golden Mike Awards for outstanding.
Jeannie won a national award for women
The
broadcasters.
lovely young lady who received the Golden Mike Award is Mrs. Jeannie Chance.
Honoring her coverage of the earth.
Many people have asked me, how could you do it? I'm sure that any woman could do the same thing. It just so happened that it was my fate.
As the story of the disaster started to be written, Jeannie became one of its recurring characters. The media called her the voice of Alaska, the stand-in for the resourcefulness and composure of an entire state. The quake had temporarily unraveled the fabric of society, and Jeannie found the space to slip through. But then that fabric stitched together again, and Jeannie didn't fit. She asked KENI for a raise, but was told that she was already making the highest salary for a woman. She quit the same day. At home, Winston felt increasingly overshadowed by her. It turns out he'd been physically abusing Jeannie for years, and now it got worse. Eventually, she was through with it. She filed for divorce. Soon, people around Anchorage were asking her if she'd ever thought about running for office. And she'd spend the better part of the 70s in the Alaska State Legislature, ramming through as much progressive legislation as she could, often while wearing a frosted blonde wig, short skirt, and white go-go boots on the chamber floor.
Interesting.
As one of Jeannie's young aides put it to me, she was making up for lost time. January 8th, 2017, 53 years after the earthquake. I'm sitting in a basement in Juneau, Alaska, surrounded by boxes of Jeannie Chance's things. Jeannie's daughter, Jan, has kept them all here for years, not knowing what to do with them. There were 38 boxes in all, filled with reel-to-reel recordings of radio broadcasts, old diaries and letters and photographs. And I'd spend days in Jan's basement over the next couple of years looking through all of it, at every document inside, from a lock of Jeannie's baby hair to one of her campaign posters, with a photo of her in a fur-lined parka holding a radio microphone. And that image of her might have seemed like the fairy tale ending to the story of Jeannie and the earthquake. Except I was starting to realize that this story is about the deceptiveness of such endings. The potential for circumstances that feel conclusive and stable to randomly come apart. bosses after that. Lots of them. And in those, Jeannie lost her seat in the legislature to a slimy Californian transplant who ran a bare-knuckle campaign. Wins, the son who'd been with her in the car the evening of the quake, was diagnosed with cancer and died in 1990, just shy of his 40th birthday. And her other son, Al, was in and out of rehab and would die a few years after that. Then Jeannie's second husband died, and as soon as he was gone, Jeannie was hit by dementia. Hard. That's why the boxes were there, unopened. Jeannie had packed them up, planning to write her autobiography, but she never got the chance. I'll be honest, it was pretty depressing. I'd never heard of Jeannie Chance. I'd never even heard of the Great Alaska Earthquake. And it was unsettling that something so consequential, the most powerful earthquake in North America, could recede so invisibly into history.
Yeah, right.
To take in a stranger's entire life at that speed, blurred and compressed so dramatically, started to make me feel like maybe time itself was a slow-moving natural disaster that eventually shakes everything apart. And from such a telescopic distance, it was impossible not to recognize the form that all our lives assume. A forgettable blip, a meaningless straight line from birth to death. At some point, sitting in that basement, I started picturing my own boxes in one of my own daughter's basements one day. And then I imagined how many other sets of boxes are already out there, and how many people hadn't left boxes at all. But maybe this part's harder to explain. It doesn't feel depressing to me now. Because I also know that sealed inside this vulnerable little snow globe we call the present, life feels anything but forgettable and meaningless. And that recognizing the starkness of it all, the course our straight line is taking, liberates us into the present. It imbues life with immediacy, just like a disaster does. And just like disaster, it gives us the chance to expand those boundaries the only way we can. By reaching out, by connecting our lives with the lives of others, by patching our lines together like a net.
Sticking straight up. Well, y'all, I hope you enjoyed listening to The Daily. It's usually more of a news podcast, but we've been kind of stretching out, getting a little more creative, I guess, with their format.
You know how it feels when you find extra cash in your pocket? Now imagine you found 5 times that surprise money. That's the feeling with Capital One.
Sheltering in place. So.
That means you earn more every day just for saving. This is hassle-free, cardless savings. This is banking.
Yeah, that was a cool story.
Capital One NA. Member
And if you listen to the little thing, you've been here for like an hour with me. So, thanks. I've just been digging. This is a pretty boring one. I'll probably tell you to skip it.
And right away, it felt clear that something would need to change about the work we were doing. We wanted to understand what was happening
Where do I
with the
put
pandemic,
torch,
of
though?
course. But we were also craving something else, something to cut through the anxiety. And so we started working on a whole new season of programming. We're calling it the quarantine season. You may have noticed some of it on your daily feed lately. Magazine-style stories on the weekend.
This is a story about amazing live sea monkeys, and frankly, it has nothing to do with the coronavirus.
Conversations conversations with great writers.
Talking
There
about what
one
they're doing.
minute, and then it's like everything is going to be okay. Let's dance.
A series exploring the recesses of the internet.
So every day on YouTube, people are getting up and watching 114,000 years worth of videos.
Each of these projects is quite different from the next, but we hope together they add up to a balm for this moment. To learn more, go to nytimes.com/quarantine season.
That's cool.
The Daily is made by Theo Malcolm, Andy Mills, Lisa Tobin, Rachel
19 seasons, so they are stretching out and doing some other types of stories.
Paige Cowan, Michael Simon Johnson,
Because otherwise they just keep reporting on
Anderson, Wendy Dorr, Chris Wood,
same old
Jessica Jones, Stella
COVID.
Tan, Alexandra Lee Young, Jonathan Wolf, Lisa Chow, Eric Krupke, Mark George, Luke Vanderploeg, Adiza Egan, Kelly Prawn, Julia Longoria, Sindhu Yanasambanda, MJ Davis-Lynn, Austin Mitchell, Sayer Cavedo, Peter Pata, Dan Powell, Dave Shaw, Sydney Harper, Daniel Kipet, Hans Buto, Robert Jimison, Mike Benoit, Bianca Gaver, and Asta Chaturvedi. Our theme music is by Jim Brunberg and Ben Landsberg of Wonderly. Special
I feel like I'm getting worse at watching when my pickaxe is gonna break.
Lauren Jackson, Julia Simon, Mahima Jalani, Nora Keller, Alex Overington, and John Moallo for bringing us today's episode from his book, This is Chance. That's it for the Daily. I'm Michael Bavaro. See you on Tuesday after the holiday.
Hey, it's Memorial Day already. What about that?
Between tour cancellations, lost creative gigs, and shrinking ad revenue, the COVID-19 crisis is making it clear that the system supporting creative people is broken. Patreon offers a better way. We help creators make up lost revenue and build a more sustainable income source by offering a monthly membership to their fans. In turn, fans get access to exclusive community, premium content, and the chance to become active participants in the work they love. Check out patreon.com now and help change the way art is valued.
Oh. This seems like a pretty mineral-rich spot to happen to dig into, which is nice. What's next?
NPR.
Alright, we're back to NPR.
About a month ago, we spoke with Dr. Patrick Colley. He heads up the Medical University of South Carolina Health. MUSC is a teaching hospital headquartered in Charleston. It has over 17,000 doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers, and hospitals throughout the state. When we talked with him last month, he had just laid off 900 people.
Oh,
I mean, 900 people is a lot. That's a lot of layoffs. What was it like to make that decision?
Well, I would say it was the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my entire career. And I've had some tough decisions I've had to make over the years as chief medical officer and CEO, but I would put this right up there as the hardest one.
But Patrick says he didn't really have a choice. To prepare for the coronavirus pandemic, a hospital had to shut down the parts of its business that make the most money. The elective surgeries, like hip and knee replacements, and the procedures, like colonoscopies. At the same time, the hospital had to invest in preparing for COVID-19. It got more hospital beds set up, bought gowns and masks and other equipment, and that got expensive. But Patrick had to get the hospital ready for a surge of coronavirus patients, which he was expecting to hit in late April.
Hi, Colley.
Hey, Dr. Colley.
this is Stacy from NPR.
Hey, Stacy, how are you?
This is The Indicator from Planet Money. I'm Stacy Vanek-Smith. The hospital business. Hospitals seem like one of the few places that would be seeing a lot of demand right now. And yet, many are struggling, losing millions of dollars and laying off staff. Today on the show, we check in with Dr. Patrick Colley at MUSC about coronavirus in South Carolina and what the bottom line is looking like for his hospital a month later.
Support for NPR comes from Newman's Own Foundation, working to nourish the common good by donating all profits from Newman's Own food products to charitable organizations that seek to make the world a better place. More information is available at newmansownfoundation.org.
It can be a little bit weird to think of hospitals as a business with like quarterly earnings and profits and a bottom line.
Well, a lot of people don't, but you know, if you're an economist, we've been thinking about them that way for quite a while.
Glenn Nichols is a health economist at George Mason University. He says hospitals typically have pretty thin margins, less than 10%. And he says hospitals, especially public hospitals, lose money on a lot of the essential services they offer, and they make it up with elective surgeries.
They have to basically rob Peter to pay Paul, and that's how they've survived. So if you take away the elective surgery from the privately insured, you've taken away the margin, period.
Dr. Patrick Colley says MUSC's medical center went from making a few $1 million in profit every month to losing a lot of money.
In March, we lost $20 million. In April, we lost a little more than $30 million. We have received some federal dollars, but we don't anticipate seeing any more federal dollars at this point, and I'm going to venture a guess that May will probably be in the $15 to $20 million loss range.
At the same time that all of these losses were occurring, economist Glenn Nichols says hospitals also needed to prepare for the unknown, for the coronavirus pandemic. They had to invest enormous amounts of money in masks and gowns and ventilators and into expanding their emergency facilities.
They shut down in anticipation of a wave like Italy was going through and New York went through, and who knew it could happen anywhere, right? So they all prepared for the worst, and that created this cascade of revenue loss.
And in a lot of cases, the worst, the surge of patients, never actually came.
We did not get a big surge of patients, at least in our Charleston hospital.
How many COVID patients did you see at the peak?
I would say at our worst, we probably had a dozen patients.
That's not very many.
No.
So it sounds like you did not see much of a surge, and I know you invested like a lot of time and money preparing for this. Do you wish you had not done that?
Based on the data we had at that time, I don't think there's any way we could have done it any differently. And it would have been almost reckless to not have done that preparation. You know, because, you know, people, large numbers of people would have died if we were not prepared. So my hope is next time that we have better data.
So now Dr. Patrick Colley wants to get the hospitals back in business. Patrick has opened elective surgeries back up. He's put a bunch of safety protocols in place, and he's opened the hospital back up for business.
That is coming back very, very slowly.
Patrick says people just don't seem to want to come to the hospital right now.
I think it is a lot has to do with patients' perception of their own safety. Everything's down. Heart attacks coming into our emergency room, stroke patients coming into our emergency room, everything's down.
Chemo patients aren't coming in for treatment, parents aren't bringing their kids in for vaccinations, cancer screenings aren't happening. Patrick is worried that people staying away from the hospital is not just hurting business, it's causing a big public health problem. So he decided to take action.
So we spent the last several weeks preparing marketing material that we are a safe place. And that's never anything we've ever had to do before.
As part of this, Patrick and his team are airing ads to convince people that it's safe to come back to the hospital. There's also a whole online campaign featuring patient testimonials and doctors reassuring people that it is safe to come in for a visit.
We'd say we're open and ready to take care.
I was recently had surgery here at MUSC.
The
bad
experience
music.
was a little bit scary in the beginning. We set up a system where we are testing all of our patients preoperatively.
My staff and I are ready to address your foot concerns, so please call us. We'll be happy to schedule an appointment, and when you come to my office, we ask that you wear a mask. I'll be wearing mine.
And Patrick says it's starting to work.
In the last week or two, I'm starting to see a path through all this. Surgeons and our procedure physicians started to book cases, and the patients actually started to come. So when I saw the first week of that happening, I started to feel that we can get past this.
Patrick says they're back to about 80% of their normal business. And he's hoping he'll eventually be able to hire back the people he let go. Although he says business might not come back to some parts of the hospital at all.
There's like in our emergency rooms. Our emergency rooms are still only seeing about 50 to 60% of what they saw before. People are not coming in the emergency rooms. And so, maybe the emergency room business is going to be smaller for us in the future, and maybe I don't need as many staff, but I really don't know that at this point.
In any case, Patrick says he can't act too quickly because there's always a chance the surge will come. Maybe a second wave of COVID-19 will hit Charleston much harder than the first. And above everything else, he has to be ready for that.
Oops. Watched it for the
This
first
episode
half.
of The Indicator was produced by Camille Peterson, fact-checked by Brittany Cronin. The Indicator is edited by Patty Hirsch and is a production of NPR.
Well, with that podcast and this line of blocks,
On Bullseye this week, Tina Fey on creating Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt, 30 Rock, and beating the best of everything.
There was a window of time when we would just go to awards things and pick up our prizes and party with the people from Mad Men.
That's this week on Bullseye. From MaximumFun.org.
One more line of rocks. And then, put up some torches, so I think spawn's behind me. Which has been a recurring problem in my other game, my multiplayer game. My mine will just have little dark spots, I guess. I don't really know how to judge those, but my friend told me it did have some, and I told him to put up torches then, because I don't know. Anyway. Alright, let's do that. I don't really like doing that, but I will do that. Looks good. This looks fine. This is okay. I'm just gonna put a torch there anyway. Alright. This is cool. And looks like it's daytime. I'm on my last torch. Oh man. Yeah, this is a long one. I hope you didn't watch it all, unless you were really enjoying that Alaska story. That's that. I'm gonna go drop some stuff off upstairs. Stone, stone, stone. Andesite. Put you here, put you here. Figure out what to do with the water. Let's go ahead and flip that out. Okay, and then, next I guess I'll go cut down some trees. And you know what I like doing? Oh jeez, I don't even have enough wood for it. Ooh, yes, look at this farm, awesome. Alright, I keep saying I'm gonna stop, but I like to leave myself a note on a sign when I quit, so I know what I'm doing next when I come back. I don't have enough wood for a sign, which is why I'm cutting down this tree. I did say I was going to cut down some trees over here, so. torch in inventory. So let's fill those out. 28 logs, that's good. Sticks. Let's see, I could light a little bit here. Oh, I guess there's one right there, but pick up these saplings. What is over this hill? This is how you keep playing Minecraft. Forest. Oh. Did I do that? Oh no. Cavern with a skeleton who is gonna miss me just barely. And then hopefully die. I do not care to deal with that. Okay, we got torches here, we got torches here. Coal here. I wonder if this is well lit enough. We'll see, the sun is going down. Should light over there some more too. Alright, we'll quit here. Thanks for watching. Again, hopefully you didn't. That was a good podcast for you.